Space. I'm Kim Kral. I am reporting to you not live in my closet. Hi, everybody. Hi, how's everybody doing? If I were you and I was listening to this and I asked you how you were doing, I would answer my podcast back. Right? Like when I listen to someone's show and they're like, "Hey, how you doing?" In my room alone, I go, "I'm good. How are you?" Good to hear. Is that crazy? I don't know. I don't think it is, but I genuinely am asking, and I hope you say it out loud, and I hope you out loud say, "I'm doing well," or "This is kind of happening." Okay, this really already went off the rails, didn't it? It's like not even a minute in, and I'm already telling you a kooky thing. I have a really good friend that listens to the show, is a big supporter of the show, and I love her. I think I already told you guys this last week, but I'm doing it again. Her kid heard me talk to my cat on the show, right? Like where I was like, "Hello," and then I came back and then she kind of laughed and the kid was like, "Why is that funny?" "She's just seeing if her cat's okay," like, or something like that. It was just like, I was like, I love that fucking kid. But I love that how kids don't have that thing yet. The Talabarusa, which is blank slate, Latin for blank slate. I don't know if it's Latin, but it was a Buffy the Vampire Slayer title of a show, and it means blank slate. And they just don't have that like societal thing that we gain over the years of like caring what other people think of us. And then you like hit a certain point if you're lucky and you realize it doesn't matter what people think of you, and then you work really hard to unravel all that shit you learned about what people think of you, if that makes sense. Yeah, you just like we spend like the first part of our lives getting taught that you should really care what other people think of you, and then the next part of our lives unraveling and record and changing those tapes. I feel like I'm lucky I got it a little bit early. I know a lot of 60-year-olds who are still working through that or currently working through that with me in my life, and it's just I showed up in Al-Anon when I was like 21, and everybody was like, "Oh my God, you're so lucky you're here so early." And I didn't stay or wasn't as consistent, but it for sure saved my life. And I am really grateful that I was there so early, because I was able to learn boundaries and cut ties with my father early on, to where I didn't have to live under that no boundaries, fear, all that stuff that he, how he was very creepy too with the calling. Now this went off the rails, but it's just like it is cool that I'm learning this early. It doesn't feel early, like like I was talking to somebody yesterday, and they were talking about age, and I'm just that like he was like, "I don't want to date a woman my age," and I was just like, "What?" Like it's like, so it's so funny because like my age is old compared to people. Like I'm 38, I'll be 39 soon, and a lot of people are like, "Oh, that's older, you're getting older." And I'm like, really? I don't feel like that's older. I'm still in my 30s. I think once you hit like 55 is when you're like, "Oh, okay. Now I'm a little like," because like I don't know. I'm going to give you something that this kid that I used to work with at the bar that got me COVID. God, I love this fucking kid. I'm so sad. I wish I could hang out with this kid in life. I don't think he liked me so much as the other thing. Like I think he he didn't, I don't think he like actively disliked me, but I don't think he was like, "Oh, I should hang out with her." He was also 22, and he was friends with like the really over the top mean girl who like would like cry if she didn't get the correct section. Like literally, like one girl showed up and put herself in a section, and then this girl came in and she's like, "Why are you getting that section?" She goes, "Oh, I don't know. I just put myself in it. I got here first, so I just did that." And she like flipped out and then like went and told literally anybody who would listen. So this kid that I'm going to impart his wisdom, that was his best friend. So he didn't want, it's not that I don't think he didn't actively dislike me, but I don't think he liked me. So I think if I text him and was like, "Hey, we should hang out," he'd probably be like, 1, you're 15 years older than me. And 2, I don't really, nah. But he was like such a little like firecracker. He used to just in the middle of everything, just scream "fuck" at the top of his lungs because he was so angry. But he looked at it. I was just like, I'm old. He goes, "You're not old." And I was like, "Dude, I'm like 15 years older than you." He's like, "Yeah, but I'm like super young." And I'm like, "Oh yeah." He goes, "You're young." And I go, and he goes, "You want to know how I know you're super young? Or you're young?" And I'm like, "How?" He goes, "Well, if you were to die right now, what would people say about you?" I was like, oh shit, you're right. The first thing they would say is she died so young. And I feel like that happens until you're 70. And then when you're 70, that's sort of 70 sort of the weird death age, I think. I think 80 is like 80 and 90 is like the sweet spot where you're like, oh, okay, that's a full life, right? 100. I want to live till 100. I used to not want to. In my depressive days, I used to be like, man, I wish depressive days. I was like around 60, I'm going to blow this pop stand either way, which is so sad. So sad. I was listening to this speaker the other day and she was like, before she started working on her stuff, she goes, I just assumed this shit would follow me until I finally killed myself. And how fucked up that is, I've never related to someone more in my life. I just figured all of my shit would just follow me until one day I killed myself. And sometimes when I'm down or low, I feel that way still. I had a lot of trauma growing up. Oh, I'm a little emotional. It's been a really heavy week. I mean, God, not even just with the news, dude. The news. I'll get to that, but I used to in my days that I before I found ACA and before I found my self-worth journey and people who deserve to be in my life. I used to think around 60, I'll kick it. Whether this thing, I talked about this with Michael Malone, in my first Crawling Up. If you haven't heard the episode, it's really good. Shameless drop, self-promotion. I don't know. You're listening to this episode, so you're probably already have listened to it, but we talked about it too, where it's just like, I just always assumed that that's where my ending would be. But 60 now, I look at that, I'm like, God, that's like 20 more years. That's not enough time. And I think 70 is like the weird age of death, because it's like, you're not 60. 60 is still super young. You're not 80, so it's not like, oh, full life. 70. I don't know. My uncle died at 70, and like he was still he was really sick, but like, and he got really sick like quickly in the last 2 weeks, right? Or the last couple of months. I'm not really sure. I wasn't really with him but I got to see him about a couple of weeks before he died. We didn't really get to talk too much though, because he wasn't, doing great. And I honestly, I don't think we thought that would be the last time, which is a real bummer, but he was a really awesome dude. But yeah, he was like 70 something. He was like 76. And it's just like, man, that's like the weird age, right? Like, I don't know. This is really dark, I guess. Today is Columbine happened in 99. You do the math. What is that? 22 years ago, April 20th, 22 years ago, Columbine happened. And, I probably shared this story last year. This is actually and a year ago right now is the last time I recorded Kim and Ken's show. And that show is what ended our show. Because I stood up for myself again. I hadn't been I started standing up for myself like a couple of months prior, because I was just like, I don't like being talked to this way. And then someone flipped out and we stopped doing the show. But it's just always so funny. Like, there was always times when we would do that show and I would have hard days, like a hard anniversary. And then I'd show up to the show and I wouldn't be myself until the cameras turned on. And that's just how it is when you're in this business, and you got to be professional, which is like, oh, I got to put my shit at the door and be like, hi, welcome to the Kim and Ken show. I'm Kim. Let me talk about my vagina, blah, 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 blah. But like, every time I had like a hard anniversary, I would go in there and I would not be okay. And he would just be so angry and mean. And then like at the end of the show, during the show, it would come out what I was going through, because we would talk about that stuff. And then you could tell it was like, oh, maybe it's not. It's just like, I don't know. This is so I was remembering, because today was 1 year ago today, that was our last show. And, April 20th is always kind of a melancholy, rough day for me. Melancholy? I don't even know what that word means, but, just kind of like a morose day. I do know what that word means. But like, yeah, Columbine. And I know today is 420. It's big marijuana day for all of you marijuana people. Marijuana. I've just never been a marijuana person. And I also was reading some stuff this morning where it's just like, yeah, celebrate your marijuana day, but like also remember that the war on drugs has been going on for a very long time and disproportionately affects brown and Black people. And a lot of them are still in jail. Well, it's just wild. Like, there's people in jail for marijuana stuff, marijuana possession charges or whatever. And I can get weed delivered to my door now. You know what I mean? It's just so wild to me. And it's just like, so it's like, enjoy your day, but also like maybe, I don't know. I'm such like I've been radicalized, guys, but I mean, like, people are like, well, radicalized you, and it's just like, I read this thing where it was like, just like gesture to the world, everything, like, so it's like, enjoy 420. I've never really I don't know. I don't really understand the people are like, it's 420. I'm going to spend the whole day smoking marijuana and be excited about, like, you would smoke marijuana. Like, those people smoke marijuana every day. I don't know. I might lose half of you right now, but maybe I'll give you something to think about. Like, use your love of cannabis to fucking, call your senators, get this shit legalized so they can legalize it, regulate it, and then also decriminalize it, let everybody out of jail who was in there for some stupid marijuana charge. And then also, like, Colorado and Portland or Oregon are making hand over fist in their marijuana money, their tax marijuana money. So, like, win-win for everybody. And then, like, also doing right. I'm sorry. I don't remember his last name. Please forgive me. But was killed last week. He had an outstanding warrant. This was the excuse for the officers that murdered him, that he had an outstanding warrant. And if you don't know what his outstanding warrant was, when he was underage, he got caught with marijuana, and then he pled guilty, had the guidance of his public defender, and just had to do like community service, and was on probation and had to pay a fine or some shit, right? Like, and then it was going to be expunged from his record. And then in the pandemic, he wasn't able to keep up with the payments, so he had like an $80 warrant out, like, because he didn't pay an $80 thing, and it was on marijuana. So it's just something to think about on 420 when you're like celebrating. Like, maybe, I don't know. I don't want all holidays to be ruined for everybody, but Thanksgiving for sure is not the same, like, excitement now that I've done some, research on, what the first Thanksgiving was really like. So I just, I don't know, food for thought. But I also, 420 has always been rough. Like, I don't know if I think I might have talked about this last year, but I'm going to talk about it again, because I think that's how people who die young, live forever, right? Or it's just like people who die, that's how they get to live forever, is that people honor and talk about their memories. Like, my papa died, God, he died when I was like 18. You do the math. How many times I used to date this accountant, and I would always be like, you do the math, and he would get so mad. And then sometimes he'd be like, what do you want to do tonight? And I'd be like, I don't know. Why don't we do something you like? We could count stuff. That guy hated me so much. He was amused by me at best. He'd be like, you're so funny, babe. But then he would secretly be mad about whatever accountant joke I made. So bad. But yeah, like, Papa died a long time ago, and still probably my favorite person I've ever met in my life. And because I talk about him a lot, I feel like, part of him still gets to live. So I'm going to talk about my Columbine experience, and maybe my friend who died in Columbine, a little bit of her memory gets to live on. I was a junior in high school when Columbine happened. I went to a rival high school. I remember, the cheerleaders, I wasn't popular, so I wasn't one of the ones who were actively singing this, but I was like, yeah, I'm a part of it. I'm a part of them. I'm with them. But the cheerleaders would sing, the UGLY, you ain't got no alibi, you ugly. You guys know that cheer. And then they would go, MAMA, that is how you got that way, your mama. And I remember one time we were playing Columbine football game, and a couple of girls were yelling that at the Columbine football players, because we would cheer behind the other team's team, right? Like, so I don't know why that is, but we would, and our team would be on the other side, maybe not to distract the players. I have no idea. I never asked. I wasn't friends with the football players, so like they were not interested in flat-chested missing teeth Kim. So I was not buddies with them, so I did not know why they were on the other side. But I assume maybe not be distracted by people watching the game, or I don't know. But the Columbine guys were like, and that was the UGLY. Okay, so we started doing that. This story is all over the map. This was, by the way, like 25 years ago, so please bear with me. So there's a thing that the crowd would go, hey, cheers, and we turn around and go, yeah, and they go, hey, cheers, yeah, and then they go, let me see you rock and roll. That wasn't one, but then we would do a thing like, let me see you disco. Let me see you Michael Jackson. I think we'd go, ooh, 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 ooh. We would do that with some sort of movement. And I think we grabbed our crotches at the end, but I don't know if that was regulated. So I vaguely remember that. But one time when we were talking shit to the Columbine football players, they turned around and they were like, hey, cheers. And we were like, yeah. And they were like, hey, cheers. And we're like, yeah. And then they all screamed, Columbine thinks you're ugly. And then a bunch of the cool girls were like, UGLY, it was a really, it was a really bring it on moment. And I regret not being more outgoing with those cheerleaders, because I was just like on the sideline like, this is so cool, it's just like in the movies I watch at home. But it was like, so we were rival schools with Columbine, and that day was just so bizarre. Like we there was two parking lots, the junior parking lot and the senior parking lot. I was a junior, so we were leaving for lunch, and the junior parking lot only had one road, like one-way road, because people were either always like coming or going. Like it wasn't like anybody was coming and going at the same time. So it was just like one small road, which is really insane now that I look back on it, because it's like, well, there might be always somebody and it's just like, no, like, and it's just a bunch of teenagers driving this one road. Now I look back on it and I'm like, how is there not more accidents? They bulldozed that high school, so maybe they changed it up to where the parking lot made more sense. But so everybody was going out of the parking lot because it was lunchtime. And then there was like, we weren't leaving. They weren't letting us leave. So we're just like stuck in the middle of this long road. And so my friend Tiffany and I get out and we start walking up and down the cars trying to figure out what the fuck's happening. Like, why won't they let us out? We only had like an hour for lunch. And we're asking everybody and we're hearing all sorts of different stories. We're hearing that there's a sniper at Columbine. And mind you, this was the first shooting, right? This was the first mass shooting. There was still gun issues, and there were still, like, my cousin went to a school in Denver that was predominantly Black and people of color, and Black people and people of color. I'm trying to be, and he was like, yeah, kids get shot in my school all the time, and like no one cares. And so this was like the first mass shooting, and it was at like an upper white middle class school. And so it was like this big deal because it was white people, right? And that was a thing that my cousin was like, that's really fucked up. And we were like, yeah, that is really fucked. Like, because he was like, look at, like, there was a kid that was shot in his high school like the same week, and he got like this tiny article in the back of the Denver Post, just like this tiny little like, oh yeah, this kid died. And Columbine happened. And of course, like neither, like that's the thing, like trauma isn't like I read somewhere where, people like to like compare traumas. Like I had a really bad childhood, and I know there's people that had worse and there's people that had less, but there are people that I know that are like, well, yeah, my child, I had this and I had that. And I'm like, it's not a competition. So I read this thing that was like, if you drown in 5 feet of water and you drown in 20 feet of water, you still drowned. Like you still die and drowned. You know what I mean? So it's just like, yeah, there are some traumas that are more. So I'm not trying to compare. And I know Columbine, shaped how I, shaped a big chunk of my young adult life, and who I am now, because that was so we were going up and down. We heard, so it was like the first mass shooting. So it's not like there was no protocols. There was no, there was no like, oh, this is happening to us now. You know what I mean? So we went up and we heard there was a sniper at Columbine. We heard that kids from Bear Creek, that's a high school I went to, Bear Creek went to Columbine and were shooting people. We heard that there was a sniper there. They were on their way to Bear Creek. And so it was just like, all right, well, this is all like hearsay in our cars. Like, again, there's not really internet. We don't have cell phones. Like this is 1999, right? I'm aging myself for sure, but I had a pager. I had a pager. And so we all like slowly back into the parking lot, right? Because we're all leaving. So like the last car backs out and parks, and then we slowly back out, and then we all go down in this cafeteria, and then there's like 4 TVs that we're all crowding around and watching Columbine happen live, and just I mean, I remember there was this girl, Sarah. I don't remember her last name. She was really pretty, like way too pretty as a 16-year-old. I wonder where she is now. I think we were friends on Facebook, and I think I got unfriended because of the whole Trump thing. A lot of people this year unfriended me because, they were Trumpy. But what are you going to do? You know what I mean? But I just remember her face watching it and then just looking, because she was so popular too, and just looking at all, like the whole crowd, and just be like, we were all so fucking shocked, right? And now what's really sad is like kids now, they have like drills. They have school shooting drills. Like they would rather have kids be prepared for a school shooting, overly prepared for a school shooting, deny shootings have happened, than fucking do gun reform. I don't understand. I don't like it here. Like I'm grateful. I'm grateful for a lot of stuff, but it's just really hard. Like I'm getting ready to pay my taxes and I'm just like, I owe money. I didn't have a job last year. I got the virus. A lot of, you know what I mean? Like a lot of people are that way, are like struggling to pay their taxes when we have a government that like refused to help us in a fucking pandemic. Meanwhile, a bunch of people, the rich got like crazy richer. It's just like, I don't understand if you don't see that. Like I know it's ignorance, and I know it's racism. Like I'd rather vote for the guy that's, not that is, aligned with me in race stuff. I don't even know what to say that is. Or, doesn't like abortion. Like, it's just insanity to me. But like, so we didn't have fucking protocols, right? The way these kids do now. I can't imagine being in high school now and knowing that just like, that was never anything that crossed our mind. The next year there was a lot of stuff that was in place that was so scary. And now I imagine it's much scarier. Now I imagine that they have so many more things in place, but like, so we go to class, the like last class of the day after lunch, which, because it's so weird. High school, you look back on, you read that meme that was like, remember when you would run a mile in gym class and then just go do math afterwards? Like I run a mile now, I got a shower, I got a nap. Like it's like a thing, right? But we would just like go to math class. And so we were done by school by like 3 p.m., which is wild. But we went maybe 2, I don't know. We went to our last class. And my one of my favorite teachers of all time, Miss Rothenfeld, she was just like, hey guys, I had us planned to watch a movie today. Just so wild. It's so wild looking back and how we just didn't know. And we didn't have the internet. We just had live TV, like ABC live TV of what they were able to see. And we didn't know what the story was. I'm having a hard time breathing. So cool. It's just going to be, I think this is just my life now, guys. I'm going to keep working hard to build my endurance, open my lungs. I'm getting a new doctor in like 2 weeks. I'm fucking stoked. So we'll see, but we just didn't know. And she was like, so I had planned today a movie day. And so we could do that. Or if you guys want, we could just watch what's going on over at Columbine. It's really up to you. And everybody in the class is like, we just want to watch a movie. We don't want to watch whatever's going on over there. We had no idea. And then, we watched the movie. None of us really. And then we went to the cafeteria afterwards. And it was like, you aren't, it was a rough day for my childhood, not just the shooting, but my dad was really, God, that guy. I'm uncovering now why I have a hard time being, excuse me, I just burped. I don't ever do that. Like I know people who just go, bleh, and I just think it's so weird and just like disrespectful and childish. I don't know. So I just burped a little bit and I apologize. But, yeah, I have a hard time with vulnerability because it was always met with my dad's stuff. I'll get to that part of the story, but we get to the cafeteria and it's like no one's allowed to leave. Their parents have to come check them out because the Columbine thing's real and it's bad. We still didn't really know, right? So my dad works all day, and my dad was he was a very working parent, so always not around a lot, and because he was supporting us, and so my friend Stephanie Norton, her mom had to check me out because my dad wasn't going to be able to get away from work, which is wild. Like now I think if he knew what we know now, he probably definitely would have been like, I got to go. I got to pick up my kid. But like, it was just like, oh, Stephanie's mom will just pick you up and drop you off. And so I went upstairs to my bedroom. This is one of my like hardest, such a weird, small, but one of the hardest memories I've had to look at in my recovery in ACA. Because like, you know, the sexual abuse was like bad enough, right? But like this was like this like formed me in a way that I am now trying to unravel. So I went upstairs to my bedroom. I had a television in my bedroom, and I had, you know, the Columbine live footage on, and I had fallen asleep, and my dad came home, and he came upstairs and he woke me up, and it was just meant, I don't know how to describe it, because what I say when on paper, it's just like, oh, a dad hugging his daughter after a mass shooting, not a big deal. But it was just like, it was like this weird, this is so hard to share, but it was like an intimate hug that was like not meant for a father-daughter relationship. And it wasn't to comfort me. It was, so anytime I felt vulnerability, it was like met with unwanted touching and unwanted love and unwanted. And I was just like, and I didn't know my friend had died yet, but it was just like a long day, right? Like I was the kid in the room. I should have been taken care of. I shouldn't have felt like I had to take care of him. And there was just so many times in my life that I like had to take care of my parents, like where like just God, yeah, there's another part of that story. I'll tell you mom's story too. I don't know if it might be too much for a day to tell both of these stories, but like, and then I was just like, Dad, I just want to sleep. Please leave me alone. Like, stop touching me. Right. You know what I mean? Like now I look back, like now I'm just like, don't hug me. I don't want to be hugged. And he was like, okay, I guess you don't want to be around me. I'm just such a bad person. Like that fucking, I hate, like I have someone in my life that is like that now. And I think I'm going to have to cut ties with that person, because I can't deal with people who are like, I'm just a bad person and no one wants to be around. And it's just like, fuck off. Like, I hate that victimization, but like, and I know it's a trigger because my dad was always like, oh, might as well just build a door from your window to your car so you don't ever have to see me. But like in the moment of fucking Columbine, and yeah, we didn't, it just like, I mean, right now, if you're watching on YouTube, you can see just like I feel uncomfortable in my skin when I talk about these stories, because that guy took away my autonomy. And now forever, this horrible already memory will be attached to that moment too, of just like, oh, it's just such like unwanted intimacy. It was so disgusting. And it's such a small memory, and it's such an interesting thing, because it's not like, you know, he wasn't touching me in the shower. You know what I mean? Like the memories where he was doing that. Obviously I have to work through quite a bit, but that like the subtle memories of abuse, or subtle memories of just like your boundaries, your body are mine, are harder to work through. It's like where I was talking about the Me Too episode, where it's just like there's rape and then there's harassment, and then everything in the middle is misconduct. It's just like, that's so like, it's like so my dad misconducted me, you know what I mean? Like it was just abuse. It was all abuse. And like when I think about that day, it's just like, God, I remember how gross he was about something that was going to shape my life. And if I didn't want to talk or be around someone, fucking leave the kid alone. You know what? Guys, I'm having a rough week. I mean, not rough, like I'm fine. I just, a lot of disappointment people. A lot of people in my life have really, not a lot, just really like two, but have just like shown me true colors, and it's just a real hard pill to swallow. So I'm probably a little bit more emotional. And also, this is a big anniversary. It's sad, especially in the wake of what they say. There's been 154 mass shootings since in 2021. And there's still fucking idiots who are like, oh, my guns were taken away. What the fuck is wrong with you? Like, what the fuck is wrong with you? Like, it's so, I can't wrap my head around that. I can't. I don't even know how to argue or talk to those people. It's like, what the fuck? Your rights aren't going to be taken away. No one has said anything about your fucking guns being taken away. Just kind of think that maybe some of these people shouldn't have a gun, especially like one guy. I can't remember which shooting, because there's been so many in the last couple of weeks. I'm so tired. I'm just so tired. And like on a day like today, where Columbine happened, like I said, 22 years ago, and these are still conversations that are having. And like, it's just, I'm so tired. And I feel really hopeless and helpless because you've tried. The best you can do is just vote for people that you hope will do something. And they're not. They're just not. And it's like they're stopped by the McConnells or even the two broads. I don't even know their name, Marjorie Taylor Greene or something. And then the Colorado woman who carries a gun in Washington, D.C., even though I don't think that's legal. Like, it's just like, I'm just tired. And it's like, what was it? Like 12 people died at Columbine. I think 14. And those kids were so mentally ill, obviously, but it's just like there's a stigma on mental illness. Like, it's just like so much could be prevented if we just, I don't know. Wow, I'm getting really emotional. I guess I haven't cried in a crawl space in a while, but just so much. I just, and so the next day we didn't have school. We didn't have school for the remainder of the week. And we came back on Monday and that teacher apologized. The teacher, Miss Rothenfeld, was just like, I'm so sorry. We should have watched the news. We should have talked about it. I'm so emotional right now. One of the shootings recently, I guess the guy was questioned by the FBI because and I think his guns were taken away because he like something like that, but because he was unstable and not mentally well, and a neighbor or something. I read the story. It was a couple of weeks ago, so forgive me for not remembering the details, but basically he was on the FBI watch list and he was able to legally buy the gun that he walked into. I believe this was the FedEx kid. It's just I'm so tired. And in that, so my teacher was just like, I'm sorry, I didn't know how big of a deal this was. Because we didn't, like we think of the difference now, like while a school shooting's happening now, there's a kid in the school shooting that's probably filming it, and there's just so much access. And in 99, there wasn't. It was just like, it was, so we didn't know. And over that weekend, I had found out my friend Cassie Bernal was one of the people who was killed in that. And I'd known Cassie since we were, 5 in kindergarten. And that she went to school with us until the year prior, until sophomore year. And because she was hanging out with some troubled kids at Bear Creek. And which who even knows now? You know what I mean? They just weren't Christians. And so Cassie went to this, her parents went to this, took her to this Christian camp. Then she transferred to Columbine, made other friends. I don't want to say better because I don't really know the situation. In fact, I knew most of the girls that she was friends with and I was friends with them. And one of them's name was Joanna something. I don't know, but she was like the first girl who shaved her head in high school. And everybody was like, oh my God, is she a lesbian? What is she doing? And I always look back on that broad and I just like really, even then it was just like, man, that girl is just who the fuck she is. Doesn't give a fuck, and she shaved her head and she got a lot of flack for it. So I wonder now if like, Cassie's bad influence was her parents were looking at like Joanna shaves her head, and Amber has black nail polish. So who knows? But she went to Columbine and I saw Cassie I went to Columbine's homecoming football game that year with some friends. And Cassie was there and she came up and, we caught up and I think I shared about this last year too. And I'm going to probably share about it next year, guys. And I hope next year I don't cry as much because maybe there will be some change. I'm not hopeful, but we're going to all just keep doing what we can, I guess keep voting for the right people, educating ourselves, spreading. I don't know what the answer is because the people in charge seem to only care about money, that's all I can it's just like money. They don't give a fuck about us. And it's so hard. I'm just so tired. Yeah. The solace I have is that, that was one of the happiest I'd ever seen Cassie at that Columbine football game. So happy. I saw this Instagram video of her the other day where somebody had filmed her like 5 days before Columbine and she was so happy. So like, there's like solace there. we used to sit next to each other on the bus in 7th grade and 8th grade too, I think, or 7th. I don't know, maybe one or both. I don't remember, but I remember she loved the cranberries and she used to talk about how she'd get drunk on M&Ms. Like I got so drunk on M&Ms this weekend. So every time I hear that cranberry song, I can't think of it right now because I'm so emotional. I can't think of it right now because of that, but so I eat some M&Ms today. I don't have any in my apartment, but listen to that cranberry song and think of Cassie and think of all those kids and all the kids that were so affected. I mean, we were all so affected, but I worked at this Target that was right by Columbine. So it was like mostly Columbine kids. And like, so just watching how they adapted to being in life. Like one time, someone dropped something on bubble wrap and it was like pop, 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 pop. And all the Columbine kids like hit the floor. And it's just like, that's wild. And then a friend kind of, I don't know, a friend, she was the manager. We'd known each other since day camp, but probably, I think her name was Katie. I couldn't pick her out of a lineup, but I think we were friendly. She went to college the next year and I asked her how, she was a senior at Columbine when Columbine happened. And I asked her how she came back and I was like, how's college? And she's like, oh, it's awesome. Like you don't have to worry about people shooting at you. That's changed now. Now they've moved to college campuses, malls, FedExes, spas, the street concerts. Like it's just the streets of Vegas. Like it's just, so 22 years ago, April 20th will never be a 420 for me. I will always think of Columbine. I will. And I hope that to honor those kids and honor everybody who's lost their lives to this senseless fucking gun stuff. I hope we can work together and make some kind of change. I don't know what the answer is, but I don't know. Just senseless. It's all just senseless. Whoo, that was some. I got emotional. I'm grateful though that I can be vulnerable now. I can be vulnerable now and not feel like I'm going to be, my autonomy is going to be taken away or boundaries will be crossed or someone will unwantingly touch me. God, I'm so glad that guy's dead. I know that's terrible. But when I think of moments like this, I'm like, God, I'm sad that I'm sad that my dad died early. I'm sad that, that someone lost his life. But I have to say, I feel safer in the world without him in it. And it's easier to work through my stuff. And honestly, I started having memories return after he went. So I know there's more to come. But yeah, it's been a disappointing week. It's been a weird week. I had so as you know, I'm in my ACA program and I'm working my 9th step where it's make amends whenever possible. And there was an old friend of mine who was on the wasn't on the amends list, my step 8 list. My leg is fucking numb. I'm going to try and it'll be fine. Wasn't on my amends list because I was really resentful. I talked about the story in my Me Too episode. About the bar I worked at, and then my 2 friends that had kind of taken the guy of the side of the predator. And one of the friends was a dear friend of mine of like we met, 12 years ago. So we were friends, for almost 10 years. And I had a lot of resentment towards her. And the other day when I am dealing with another friendship that I think it's just so disappointing. And I was just like, is that what life is? This what this is? You just meet people, you get to know them, you find out they're trash, and then you have to mourn that friendship. And yeah, I guess it is. But that's why when you meet really good people, you hold the fuck on to them and you cherish them and you treat, and you make sure they know that they're loved and you're grateful for them. And I have a big chunk of people like that. I just recently have a new friend. I just don't think she's a very good person. And I don't know if bad person isn't the right, but so I was feeling really sad about that. And it happened really quickly. And I still don't know. I'm not going to make some big grandstand. I think I'm just going to take some space while I sort of look at it. And And I'm grateful that I have discernment now. Before it was like I would just let any old person come into my life. You want to be in my life? Awesome. I don't have self-esteem, so treat me how you want. Come on in. Please don't leave though. I will do everything I can to get you not to leave me. Everything I can. And now I'm like, oh, I'll get to know a person, then I'll see this particular person does not respect my boundaries at all. And it's become very evident in the last couple of weeks of just like, wow, you just like literally don't respect my boundaries, has been really dismissive of me in general and definitely my long haul COVID. But yeah, that's what it is. You get to know people and then, that's like dating, you know what I mean? It's just like, oh, you're not a person that I want around me and I'm not going to have you around me anymore. And so I'm taking space from this, but I was just, I was in a funk for a couple of days where I was just, and I'm still kind of in the funk, but I honestly, what human isn't right now? It's really hard to stay positive. A lot of people are dying and that shouldn't be dying, but we have a government and a police thing that's just sworn to take care of us and we pay them to do so, but they're not doing it. And like Derek Chauvin's probably about to get acquitted. I think what's so sad is it's a murder we all saw happen. The world saw this murder happen, and we are all mentally preparing for him to get acquitted. And it's just if you're not feeling fucked up right now, I don't want to say that you're a sociopath, but I do want to say, like, I guess, I am meditating and writing. And so my everyday isn't spent being like, oh, the world is like depressed. You know what I mean? But I am feeling fucked up, man. And I think that's just very human. We have had 8 mass shootings recently, last week. Like a kid got shot at for a traffic stop because I can't. And so I've been down, and then this friend thing happened where just a lot of stuff kind of came to light, and I don't want to really air it here. I try to vague it up, you know what I mean? Because I do think that it's important to talk about this stuff, and maybe there's someone in your life that you're like, I feel like I have to be your friend because we got really close, and then you're like, I don't know, that's what I thought it was. That's what I used to think. Well, we have so much history, or we know each other so well, or we were there for each other for this one thing. No, you don't respect my boundaries. You don't respect me, and you're dismissive of me. And that's not. I am my number one fan. I am my favorite person, and I hope that if you're not your favorite person, I really hope you work toward becoming your favorite person, because this relationship I'm developing with myself is probably the most fulfilling one I've ever had. And that sounds so crazy, but it's what I don't know. If I'm not my favorite person, how can I expect anybody else to love me? You know what I mean? If I don't love me, why would you love me? And so I've been down, but there's the girl from Johnny's who I'd known for a very long time. She pops in my head all the time. And I've had this angry resentment towards her. And I've written about it. I've prayed about it. I've meditated about it. And I found myself on her Instagram page last week. And I followed her. And I was like, fuck, is that weird? And then I felt really weird because I was like, you can't just follow, because we unfollowed each other, right? And you can't just follow her out of nowhere and then not say, because that's just a weird, the guy, the Super Bowl 50 guy, he just tried to add me on Facebook instead of being like, hey, I know I was a super cunt and also sexually I tried to rape a girl and your friend, and now I just want to pretend it's just such a childish thing. And so I felt that I obviously not that extreme, but I felt like I was trying to pop in her life and just see, is she gonna text me? But I was like, I'm still so resentful, and I can't make an amends to someone that I'm not sorry for my actions. But I was like, there's got to be something here, because I do feel in my amends process, I feel like if there's anybody in the world that I would be uncomfortable seeing, something on my side isn't clean. And she definitely falls under that category. And I couldn't. So I sat with it for a couple of days again, and I found my side. And I'm not going to rehash the whole story. If you want to hear it, it's in Me Too, the episode Me Too. She was really close to those people in that bar, really, really close. And she and I were really close. And though I don't know what else I would have done differently, but I definitely put her in a very hard position. I didn't come to her and talk to her. I didn't feel like I could, but I don't know now. Like I just put her in a hard position. And I know I didn't do anything wrong in terms of the sexual harassment stuff or misconduct or whatever it is when someone corners you in a closet and asks to see if you have panties on and he's supposed to be the security guard. I don't know where that follows under. I guess we're just going to call it cute misconduct. Oh, God, I hate that word so much. Like, no, fuck off. Fuck off, free. I don't know what we should call it, but and not that I think that her actions were okay, but being able to look at my side in our friendship ending where I do what I do best. I cut and run. I burn it down. I didn't talk to her. You know what I mean? I wasn't like, hey, this is what's going on with me. These are the things. I don't know at the time if I didn't feel like I could, but I didn't even try. And I put her in an impossible situation. And I wrote on that for a while on my side. And I genuinely was like, I'm sorry for my side. And I messaged her. And I was like, hey, I know this has been a long time, sort of out of the blue, but I hate how our friendship ended, and I'm really sorry for my side in it. It's water under the bridge for me. And the thing is it wasn't water under the bridge for me until I could see my side, if that makes any sense. Because there are people that like Super Bowl 50 guy. I'm not uncomfortable if I ever saw him again because my side's clean. My side is clean as a fucking whistle. I don't know what that means. Are whistles particularly clean? I don't fully understand. I don't get sayings. What are whistles like? I don't know. I feel like I can't think of anything really clean right now. But my side's clean, right? But with her, it wasn't. And so that's again, if I can think of anybody in the world that I would feel weird being around, those are the people on my amends list because somewhere my side of the street's not clean. And that's all I can do. You know what I mean? It's been such a weird week because this woman who meant so much to me, who was such a dear friend, and we have more memories than I will ever be able to say on any podcast, she suddenly is back in my life. And I don't know what she remembers about the whole thing. I don't know how. I mean, maybe one day she doesn't live near me anymore. Maybe we are messaging back and forth a lot, and maybe we'll have coffee one day and we'll rehash and tell our sides. But I wasn't able to let go of a resentment until I looked at my side of the street. And I guess with everything, that's all you can do. Just keep your side of the street clean. Vote for the right people that are, I'm still got this gun stuff on my mind. I'm so sorry. That's if you're like, I listen to you so I can listen to poop stuff. Well, we'll get to that in 2 minutes. So I feel like if you only listen to me for the poop scoop, I don't think you would be listening this long because whatever. Every week I have some sort of existential crisis if you guys like me or not. Do you guys still like me? But yeah, keeping my side of the street clean. That's literally all I can do. What people think of me is none of my business. And there's a guy in my program that always says this, and it's, I don't mean the sky dad sense of the God word. You know what I mean? I don't mean the gay hating, of women controlling God. I don't mean that God. I mean universe. I use it all interchangeably, universe, source, connection, all that stuff. But God runs the show, dude. Just that's it. He said it last night, and I was talking to him last night, and he said it. God runs the show. And I was able to just let go of all this stuff that I've been weighing on me. God runs the fucking show. And all I can do is keep my side of the street clean. Yeah, that's all I can do. And I don't know. I just want to send y'all some love. Take care of yourselves. Take care of each other. It's a really fucked up time we live in, but maybe this is the fucked upness that we need to have in order for real change. They say an alcoholic can't get sober until they hit a rock bottom. A person like me who has, who grew up in trauma and, is a really fucked up person. I'm a really fucked up person, right? My brain doesn't work properly because of the trauma I've experienced. But they say I'm not able to turn around and look at that stuff until I hit a rock bottom. And I did. And I'm grateful for that rock bottom every day. His name is Jimmy the Dragon. That's not really his name, but Jimmy the Dragon was my rock bottom. But like they say, yeah, so maybe this is America hitting their rock bottom in order to have real change. And it feels like a rock bottom. You know what I mean? It feels like a fucking rock bottom. When you got people in Congress who are willing to like crucify Maxine Waters or call this kid in Chicago a young man, but they won't call Matt Geitz's child girlfriend a child, underage woman. That's not a thing. That's a child. A child, an underage girl is a child. And it's just like, maybe this is our rock bottom and maybe we'll finally get some change. Because in my experience, and all change only happens when a rock bottom happens, you know? So just be nice to each other. You ready for a little poop scoop? Poop scoop booty. I'm going to read someone else's poop scoop this week. I have not read it yet. It's a little long, but I like the long ones because the long ones equal it equals a lot of crazy things. Oh, I haven't read this at all. So I hope and I don't know. Hi, if you are, as I said, email me at kimkralspace@gmail.com. Sorry, Uncle John, once again for sending you all of the other poop scoops for people who were sending them before. I apologize. I've been giving the wrong email for 4 months, 5 months. I don't know what day of the week it is. But I can't breathe. I can breathe. Yeah, send me your poop scoop stories at kimkralspace@gmail.com, please. And in there, if you don't want me to use your name or if you do want me to use your name, tell me. It looks like he used his name in the story and he listens to the show, so he knows that I read it verbatim. Why are we? No thanks. Okay, here we go. Here's your poop scoop. I've wanted to share this with you since the beginning of the podcast and hopes it brings you some laughs. The year was 2011. My dad was soon to marry my now ex-stepmom, a Brit who lived in Flatbush, Brooklyn, and worked at the UN at the time they met. My stepmom to-be's parents were visiting from England, and my dad and I were meeting them for the first time. We decided it would be a great idea to go out for Indian food. How many a poop scoops probably start? Oh, that's so true. It's spicy food, I think. I don't know. I find everything gives me some sort of poop in my pants. Okay, whatever. My dad picked me up. My dad picked me up at my mom's and we met at the restaurant. It was a great meal. I ordered the vindaloo, a particularly spicy curry, maybe not for the Kowalski, thank you, but for 11-year-old Damaroni. Oh my God, is that what you call yourself? I love that. And I love that you called me Kowalski. The young kid that I used to work with used to tell me no one calls me Kowalski. I was like, well, the Kowalski. He goes, stop saying that. No one calls you the Kowalski. He would get so mad. It was fantastic. So thank you. But it was for the 11-year-old Damaroni. It was some heat. It had some heat. For dessert, I had a mango lassi yogurt smoothie. As we were waiting for the check, I felt my stomach churn. Yikes. I abruptly shot up from my chair and waddled up the stairs to the second floor bathroom. First off, why the actual fuck would an Indian restaurant have a second floor bathroom? Oh, we make the food that people associate with having to take a dump soon after. Let's put our bathroom upstairs. That's a good point. I proceeded to sit down and it was like I turned on a faucet. Oh my God, that kind of poop is wild when that happens. You're like, I'm just peeing out of my butt. You know the kind. It was a real bowl gripper. Yeah. Oh, bowl gripper. That's good. I returned downstairs and my dad goes, geez, that went through you like Grant through Richard. Love the phrase to this day. What's Grant through Richard? I don't know what that means, but that went through you like Grant through Richard. It's funny. Anyway, we had received the check along with some welcomed steamed towels and then proceeded to leave. My new grandparents offered to give me a ride back to my mom's house as they wanted to meet her as well. Sounds great. Well, it was not so great. Here comes round two. Oh no. As we were about a mile from my mom's, I felt a sinking feeling in my stomach. Oh no. The nearest public bathroom was about equidistant from our location as my mom, so I tried to hold it. It was becoming unbearable. We had every red light, I swear. Eventually, as we made maybe 2 minutes away, I couldn't hold it any longer. Oh no, we've all been there. And if you haven't, you're a liar. You are a liar. We've all been there where it's just like, why am I hitting and you're like sweating and you're like, maybe if I turn on the radio, maybe if I turn off the radio, stop talking to me. Like, it's like, I realized we were right by my uncle's ex-wife apartment, and I asked if they could stop as it's an emergency. I carefully and swiftly make my way up to her stairs, knock on the door, no answer. Then I remembered her parents lived downstairs, and I think they'd remember me. I knock on the door hurriedly. Come on. Her mother answers the door in confusion. I explain to her that I'm her daughter's ex-nephew and that it's an emergency. She kindly lets me in. I race to the bathroom and proceed to unleash hell out of my ass. It was one of those kind of shits where you're on the precipice of finding Jesus. I wipe and settle myself down for a roller coaster of emotions. Oh man, how do you walk out of that bathroom? I flush the water in the bowl, rinsing. I panic. I wash my hands and run out as fast as I can. I never saw them again. Oh my God, that's so good. Thank you, dude. That's like, how do you walk out of that bathroom? You know what I mean? You walk out of the bathroom and you're like, hey, thank you so much. I cleaned up the best I could in there. You know what I mean? Like, how they know, we've all been there, but for some reason we're all like, ooh, yeah. Oh, thank you so much. I love that. If you would like to send me a poop scoop story, please do at kimkralspace@gmail.com. Or just send me a hello or tell me why you're one lucky broad. Or if there's a comedian that you would like me to see if I can interview for Crawling Up, send me that too. Just email me. It'll be nice. I will end the show with I'm one lucky broad. I'm one lucky broad. I'm one lucky broad that I am working a hard, really hard program. I'm in recovery. I'm working a really hard program that is not only giving me discernment with having who I want in my life, what I want in my life, but also forcing me to look at my side of the street, something that I refused to do with this friend for like 4 years. 4 years we haven't been friends. And maybe looking at my side of the street will start a new friendship. And it sounds like from everything we've talked about, she has changed just as much as I have. And it sounds like the two of us are also looking for healthier people in our lives than we had when we were in our lives back then, So I'm one lucky broad for new beginnings, discernment. And that's hard fucking work I'm doing. It's worth it, man. But man, is it fucking painful. So that's our show. Man, is it painful. That's our show. Thank you for listening. If you get a second, please rate and review it. I am going to read this week's review. This comes from Future Run 1988, and it's like Future Run in like a license plate way, or a Twitter, like a what word am I looking for? Abbreviated way. It says, so entertaining. Thank you. Listening to this makes me feel like I'm reminiscing with an old friend. It's fun, funny, and a little weird. Thank you. I look forward to it. I look forward to Wednesday now. Oh, I love that. And thank you for calling me a little weird. I think being weird is a massive compliment. I think it's a nice compliment. So thank you. So if you get a chance, please leave a rating, leave a review. Follow me on all the socials, KYMKRAL. Email me, kimkralspace@gmail.com. I want to hear your poop scoop stories so bad. I haven't gotten any lucky broad stories. I'll read those too. And I'll be back next week. I will be recording an episode later today for my Patreon people. If you want to join Patreon and you want to get these extra episodes, you can join. It's patreon.com/KimKral. All this stuff is on my website. I would love it if you could join the Patreon. If you can't, I took the Patreon. It sounds like if you could join the patriarchy. If you could join the Patreon, that'd be awesome. I would love any and all support. But if you just want to listen to these, that's awesome too. I love all this support. So thank you so much, and thanks for giving me a space to honor my friend who died so long ago. it was a cathartic episode. So thanks, guys. I'm going to record one later today proving that Paul McCartney died in 1966. So if you want to hear why I believe that clears the room, by the way. It literally clears the room. Join my Patreon. I think that's all. Yeah, give me a rating, give me a review, share, like, wear your mask, be nice to each other, keep your side clean, man. Just be nice to each other. It's really fucking tough right now. And that's all for me. I will talk to you guys later. Thanks. Bye. Okay, real quick, I'm not leaving. I realized I didn't tell you that the next Crawling Up is in 2 weeks, or a week and a half from now. And if you want to catch up on the old Crawling Up, I interviewed Savannah Manhattan. I know I said bye and then I came back. Sorry about that. But I interviewed the hilarious and lovely Savannah Manhattan about her transitioning journey. She's a trans woman comedian and she's hilarious. And she was very open in the episode about, her journey and what she's kind of gone through. And it's awesome. So if you want to listen to that too, please listen to that and send me your Crawling Up recommendations. If there's a comic or someone in the world that you were like, oh, I think that would be a good interview. And I'm not scared to ask anybody because you never know who's going to say yes. You know what I mean? So now that's the show. All right. That's the show now. Promise, probably. I love you guys all. Thank you so much for the support and I will talk to you soon. Bye.